Hey everyone. Do you know you have money just sitting there in your business, sitting there just looking at you, but it's not in the bank today. It's hidden. And these are through what we call these EBITDA drivers. And today we're going to talk specifically about one of those EBITDA drivers that frankly, most companies, most people selling are very, very bad at doing. And today that is called referrals. And myself and my host, guest here, Neil Reich, has agreed to focus on this in our upcoming podcast. So get a pen and paper. This is going to be a masterclass on how to do referrals as an EBITDA driver. Neil, welcome to the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. Thanks so much for being here.
You bet, Doug. It's my pleasure, and I'm really honored to be here. So thank you for having me as a guest today.
I really appreciate that. So let's talk about referrals in the regard of, what is a referral? Because everybody thinks they know what a referral is, but what is one?
Yeah, and I think that referrals can come from different resources or sources. Referrals can come from an employee of your company. Referral can come from an existing client. That's the most popular. It's probably the one everyone thinks of first, right? Referrals from your existing clients.
Right.
But they can also come from strategic partnerships that you can create within your business or your industry, if your industry kind of allows that. And with what we do in the insurance industry, we do have strategic partners that we work with: physician groups, pharmacies, churches, senior centers, and referrals come from those sources all the time for us.
So, because most people don't think about referrals from different sources. They think of it as just like, hey, did a job for a client, going to ask the client, anybody else that can do X, Y, and wants to do X, Y, and Z. But as you said, you can come from different places. You can come from strategic partnerships. It can come from, I've done them on interdepartmental things within companies, right? So you do department A, but they refer you to department B. And here's the fun part, folks. You can even get referrals from your competitors.
That's right.
And so let that one sink in. The people who are actually selling against you could be one of your best referral sources. So the question really comes down to whether or not you're actually driving referrals. And Neil, I had this literally happen yesterday and then 2 days ago. Same industry. It's in the trades industry. And one person generated 27 appointments. They went to this appointment. They sold 55% of these appointments. And I asked them, how many referrals did you get from these appointments? And they said none.
Yeah.
Talked to another gentleman, ran 17 appointments, told me he was making this kind of money off these appointments. I ran the numbers. I said, you're losing $245 per appointment. How many referrals did you ask for? And he said, none. And I said, well, if you had asked out of these 17 referrals and you only got 2, you actually would have made money on your jobs versus losing money on your jobs because his marketing is so heavy. Exactly. So why do you think people don't ask?
Yeah, it's so interesting that we're starting here, right? Because if you look at the data tells us that over 90% of satisfied customers would be willing to give a referral, and less than 15% of sales individuals or even companies are asking for referrals. So like you said a second ago, let that sink in for a second. Over 90% of satisfied customers would be willing to refer, and less than 15% are asking. And I think that a big part of it, I think that business owners and even individual salespeople, they're measuring the wrong return. They're measuring the return on their market spend. How much am I spending? What's my ROI on that? And I think the right measurement is return on relationships. Because if you think about your growth as a flywheel driven by relationships. So when you serve a customer well, 3 things should happen. They're going to stay longer. They're going to refer others to you, and they really should buy more from you. And when those 3 things happen consistently, your growth is more predictable. Your growth is more profitable, which gets just So with each customer interaction, I think that, one of the things that we did, because we, initially with Care Connect, we weren't, our core business or strategy wasn't asking for referrals. It was really retention. We were focused on retention, and we got really good at retention. And through retention, through our customer satisfaction, our clients started sending us referrals. And that was a light bulb moment. It's like, we're doing a great job with retention, and people are satisfied with what we're doing and the service we're providing, and they're willing to send us or refer their friends to us. Which, again, if you think about that, referrals, that's your best customer, right? Because trust is already built in. You're not having to establish your trust. I think all of us can relate to that, right? If you, Doug, I'm sure you've had a friend that referred their lawn guy to you, or their pool guy, or their AC person, or their auto mechanic, right? It's like, and we just run with it. It's like, oh, my friend said this lawn guy is good, or this mechanic's good and trustworthy, and it's like that trust factor is already built in. Closing percentages go way up, and there's zero acquisition cost.
Yeah.
That just all trickles right down to the EBITDA.
So that zero acquisition cost is what I want you all to write down right now. In most cases, it's zero, right? So like that company I was telling you about, the first one with the leads, and the second one, their lead cost was right around $600 a lead coming through the door. So folks, I want you to think about something. Let's say you sell let's just do simple math, right? You sell a $3,000 job and you paid $600. In theory, you have $2,400 left over. I know this is basic math, but if you don't have $600 on the cost side of that, getting that through the door, you now have $3,000 coming through, right? What do you think that does to your EBITDA? What do you think that you have more money to work with, more operating cash flow at that point? And so what you're saying is so common for companies, because what they do is they focus on things like retention. They focus on things that are kind of right in front of them, but the easy pick, they're not touching a lot of times. And referrals are one of these huge, easy picks. And why don't you tell everybody what Care Connect agency does, so they kind of get the context of what you do?
Sure. Yep. Great point, Doug. Yeah. So we're Care Connect. We are an insurance agency. We sell insurance products. Our core product and customer are individuals that are on Medicare. So they're receiving their Medicare benefits. And we do a needs analysis, a personal needs analysis, to identify what their needs are. The doctors that they see, the medications that they're on. Do they have any chronic diseases? And then, Medicare is a complex scenario and product and time for people when they're getting ready to start Medicare, especially those that are turning 65 and brand new to it. So we simplify the process. We take our time. We spend a lot of time on understanding what their health risk assessments are, if they have chronic diseases, and then we help them choose that right Medicare plan. And it's a competitive industry, which is why we put a lot of emphasis on retention. And again, like that, the great job that we were doing in our retention efforts really started leading to more referrals, and then we just started to really make that a priority, like referrals all the time, like planting the seed at the initial sales consultation or advisor consultation about referrals,
Right.
and then building it into the follow-up, because our retention follow-up is that 30 days after we put someone on a plan, sell a plan, or enroll someone on a Medicare plan, we follow up and make sure they got their ID card in the mail. And that's a great time to talk. That's a great time to ask for referrals, because then 30 days later, we're calling them again and asking them if have you scheduled your annual wellness visit yet? Have you enrolled in the mail order pharmacy program? Do you need transportation assistance to your doctor appointments? And again, providing that service led to a lot of referrals. And for us, we took it a step further. It's like, okay, so we're doing really good at retention, which is leading to referrals. Referrals lower our acquisition costs. Then it started to be like, let's start to cross-sell those clients as well. And then it's another EBITDA driver, right? So cross-selling other products. So if we sold someone or enrolled someone on a Medicare Advantage plan, with those plans, they're typically no monthly premium above the Part B premium. And then they have co-pays for doctor visits and ER and things of that nature. but there's gaps in like hospitalization. So we started selling hospital indemnity plans that fill those gaps in.
Right.
If they were on a Medicare supplement plan, they wouldn't have the added benefits of like vision, hearing, or dental. So we started selling vision, hearing, dental to our med sub clients, and final expense as well. And it's just, again, those things go right to your EBITDA.
Yeah, it's so this goes back to that flywheel of relationships that you
Yeah.
were speaking about. So, folks, what I want you to catch if you haven't caught is there's two things here. Number one, you want a pre, a during, and a post referral thought process. So before you ever talk to the client, how are we positioning for referrals during when you're talking to that client and all the way through that customer journey, and even after they've purchased, you're doing, and which is hand in hand, point number two, follow up all the way through the process to continue to build that relationship on what Neil was talking about, right? And then guess what? Because you have a relationship, you can now ask for other things with that person who's no longer just your client, but now more of a friend or at least a trusted relationship that you have. And if you think about it, when you have friends and trusted relationships, you can call upon them and say, "Hey, geez, whatever. It's 2 o'clock in the morning and my tire went flat and I don't have another flat tire. Could you come get me?" Some of your friends actually will do it, right? So
That's right.
that's cross-selling on the relationship. All right. So in your case, it's monetary cross-selling, right? So it's you're adding on something that they didn't have that serves them, not just adding something on folks for the heck of selling something. And now what you've done is you created a stickier client. And as they now go and say, "Oh, geez, Neil sold or his company sold this to me, but you know what? My gosh, I needed this at this time in this medical journey that I'm going on." Now, when you ask for a referral, they remember, "Oh, he took care of me." Bam, they're going to now do another referral. So I'm still, I want to come back to this question. Why, even when people know this, Neil, don't they put it in play, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's just mindset, right? I think that, and I've been in my industry for 30 years, over 30 years actually. And the training that you receive, it's not built into training. Asking
Right.
for referrals is not built into training. It's about closing the deal, right? ABC, always be closing. Sell the deal, move to the next one, get done with that client, and go find the next one right away. And we're always kind of in sales. We're always kind of hunting. And I think that it's just the lack of training, the lack of importance, and I think what it really just comes down to is state of mind, like making sure that it's at the forefront of your mind. And it's something that we're doing now because, again, one of the things that we recognize with this is that what I recognize as a CEO is that in really perfecting referrals and really improving our ability to cross sell, I recognize that we're building a more valuable company. And it's not just economically, it's more value to our customers that we're serving, and it's more valuable to our employees that work for us. And the employees that work for us gain confidence in what we were doing as an organization, the services that we provide. So now referrals is it's part of our daily routine. It's like whenever you have a customer interaction, it should be one of three things should be getting accomplished. That customer should be staying longer with us, which is measured over a longer period of time, right? I mean, that's you're looking at LTV as a longer period of time, but they should be also, or they should be giving us a referral or buying another product from us. And the mindset of our employees now is like, what other services do we provide that this person needs? Not that we can sell them, but that they need.
Yeah.
And really, just again, I think to answer your question, it comes back to mindset. It comes back to making it important as a CEO, as a leader. It starts with us, and it's building, and implementing that mindset and that strategy and making it important on a day-to-day basis.
So, Neil, I'm going to take a guess and say you just didn't say one day to everybody, "Hey, just start asking referrals," but it kind of was a process where you had to train people eventually on what to do, and kind of put some consistency around this. Is that accurate?
100%. And it's really interesting to me, Doug, because you invited me to be on your podcast. Again, I'm honored to be on here, and thank you for that. And we had our initial conversation about this topic, and after that initial conversation, we are doing things. We have process, we have systems, but after our first conversation, I started preparing for this conversation today. I was like, I need to build a playbook. I want to build a playbook around this whole process because it's valuable. The playbook is valuable. It's like the training that we're doing and making it important and preaching it every day and having conversation and putting internal competition in place. Who had the most referrals for the month and they get a bonus. That's great, but having like a true playbook. So now I'm working on constructing a playbook that will be shared with every employee, all of our strategic partners, and maybe even some of your listeners here today.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So here's what I found, Neil, and I'm asking because you've been in the trenches doing this as well. I find people don't want to ask around that mindset because of two things. Well, three things actually. They have no system for doing it, number one, which we're talking about. So they just kind of get overwhelmed and forget. It gets deprioritized. Number two, they fear they don't know what to say. And so ultimately it comes back to they don't want to appear to be like a pest or be rejected. Is there anything else that you can think of that I might have missed in this conversation about why somebody would not do this?
Yeah, yes, I do. I think that I mentioned a minute ago, as we got really better at both referrals and cross selling, the confidence of our employees grew. Like they really saw the value and the services and what we do for our clients, and gained confidence. And we're there was no hiccup in asking for referrals. And I think that some salespeople, they may not be confident in the product that they're selling is providing the actual service or returning value to that consumer, and may not feel worthy to ask for that referral. And obviously, I think in sales you've got to have that mindset from the very beginning. Like, you got to have confidence and belief in the product that you're representing or you're selling. And if you do that, then there shouldn't be any hesitation on asking for referrals. And I think a really good way to frame it to any prospect or customer is like, this is what I do. I help people like you every single day solve a problem. And I would think that if you're seeing value in the conversation that we're having in the product that I'm positioning to you and that you're buying from me, you must know someone else that could benefit from this service as well, or this product. And that's how I stay in business. I stay in business through referrals because customer acquisition cost today is like with everything else, everything costs more today. Groceries, gas, rent, my mortgage, electric, and acquiring customers. And you could help me a lot by staying in business and doing what I do to help consumers by just referring me someone that that could benefit from this service as well, or product.
And there's your pre-positioning, folks.
That's it.
And here's what I want everybody to get. Even if you're not good at doing this, like you are, Neil, even if you were not good at doing this in the beginning, what was it? Wayne Gretzky said you miss 100% of the shots you never take, or something like that, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So even if you're not really good at this, you stumble through this and you ask the question, you will get more than not asking anything. I was watching a show with my wife last night, and this gentleman was trying to ask this lady out on a date, and he was just it was from even from a guy's perspective, I'm going, no, dude, no, don't ask, stop, right? Right? And she stopped him in the middle of it, and she said, "Are you trying to ask me out on a date?" And he goes, "Yes." And she goes, "You're doing a terrible job at this," right? And he goes, "I'm sorry, I haven't, I was married for like 32 years and I'm not in practice of doing this." And she goes, "Where do you want to go?" Right? He said, "Well,
Yeah.
can we go for a cup of coffee?" And she goes, "Sure, why not?" Right? And I'm illustrating this because it's timely in our conversation. Folks, just ask, because you can get better at this as you go along and you'll get feedback. um, on that. And if you track, here's the other thing, Neil, I was going to ask you. Um, how should people be tracking whether or not their referrals are working?
Yeah, so great question. And getting back to your point about the person asking for the date and stumbling through that,
Yeah.
and actually still landing, it's about repetition, right? It's just about doing it on a consistent basis. It's like with anything, right? Repetition makes us better with any, the more you do it, the better you get at it, right? So it's just, if you're not doing it today, just start. And I think that a great way to track it is, like I mentioned earlier, we started really getting better referrals through our retention efforts, and we have a retention. We have a scripted retention program. So like I said earlier, 30 days we're asking, did you get your ID card in the mail? 6 days we're asking, did you schedule your annual wellness visit? Those are times that we ask for referrals now, and then going back and tracking that result from the retention effort. But another way that is a great way of doing it is just through customer surveys. You send out surveys through email. Or I'll tell you another thing, Doug. I was wanting to talk about today is that just AI. Like we're in this technology revolution, and the way the impact that technology is going to have on our industry and really on most industries in the next 3 or 4 years is going to be just incredible. Whether that's AI, nanotechnology, robotics, whatever it is. We had the industrial revolution 100 years ago. Now we're going to have the technology revolution, and I've been researching different AI platforms out there that can actually track all that stuff for us. They could even, I've looked at one called simpletalk.ai that can actually even do our outbound retention calls for us, our 30, 60, 90 day, 6 month calls for us. They
Yep.
can be programmed with AI agents, and it's incredible. Um, the 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 things that AI can do. Even right now, we're at the very beginning of it. I heard this statistic the other day about Salesforce, which is one of the CRMs. It's a very popular CRM in our industry. I don't know if you've heard of Salesforce or not, but
I
so
think most
most
people have
people
heard of
have.
it. Yep.
Okay, I asked someone the other day. They said no, I never heard of it.
Okay.
I was like,
It
huh,
it
okay,
it
because I
it
thought
is
everyone knew
it's the
Salesforce.
largest CRM out
It
there. So
it
I,
is. It is.
so
Yeah. But
um
they just reported that they and I'm going to probably butcher the statistics, but it's around these numbers. Productivity improved by 50%, and they lowered labor costs by 19% with AI.
right.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that is the trend going. And it's here's the thing about what I loved about what you said on customer service surveys or customer surveys. You can send a survey, those people will answer it. You can follow up with and ask for a referral. Those people who didn't answer, you can follow up with and ask for a referral. So it's
Did you miss our survey? Just making sure you didn't miss the survey. Oh, by the way,
exactly. So
yes.
so Neil, yesterday, one of the gentlemen who went on these appointments, and I'm just telling people this because I want to go back to like just ask, right? So out of those, say 27 appointments that were run, they closed half of them. And so, it's like, well, what are you doing with the ones that you didn't close? And it's like, well, we're just not following up with that, right? Like, why don't we follow up? Some of those people didn't buy from someone else. They're still sitting there. You might have business you can initially get, but just call and ask for referrals.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they said, well, we'll do this next week. We said, no, do this today. It takes about an hour. Call.
Yeah. That's it.
And they called. And out of the 11 people, I think it was, they were calling, three of them said, yeah, I'll buy something.
Isn't that crazy?
Right. And
Yeah.
then on the referral, they're picking up some referral, right? It's like, it's just, you got to just do the activity, folks. And if you don't do the activity, oh man, just take $1,000 and rip it up and throw it in the wind because that's essentially what you're doing, right?
Absolutely.
It's so and on a very simple tracking system, you can track these things on a very simple Excel spreadsheet or Word doc, or just take a business card and every time you ask for a referral, make a strike on the back of the card and count them up every day.
That's
It
it.
it does not have to be this ginormous
Elaborate.
system. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. It's something to show you the accountability of what you're doing. And as Neil was saying, when you start and you move forward and you get a little better at this and you feel a little more confident at that, your mindset wraps around, hey, this is a 100% consistent thing we're going to do. You're going to find that you're pulling more sales out of this at many times zero marketing and cost to do that. Now you might have your sale, if your salesperson has it, you might still have the sales commission cost and all the, the appointment setting cost and getting there and all that. But your EBITDA is going to be so much larger from just deploying this. And most companies on a scale of 0 to 10 are about a 1 to a 2 doing this. And it's just low hanging fruit. And I think I would come back to your statistic. You said 90%, if I remember correctly, Neil, that the
yes,
statistics showed
yeah,
90%. So 9 out of 10 people will say yes, especially if we ask correctly.
that's right. That's right.
But only 1.5 out of 10 or 15% actually even ask.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. Folks, I want you to think of this. Your competitors aren't asking. So even if you call upon someone and they say, "Oh, I've already bought from XYZ," you can still ask for a referral if they liked
Yes.
what they had. So it's like just how do how can we encapsulate? Maybe just act like a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old.
Yeah.
They,
You know what?
they,
You know what's, oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was just going to say
Oh,
they ask questions all the time, right? They're just like
yeah.
relentless on asking questions.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because when I was selling, I'm going back 20 years ago now. So when I was still selling, and I was at Humana. I was a W-2 sales agent for Humana here in Tampa, Florida. And we were selling our Medicare Advantage plans at a high percentage. And then we started to cross sell other products. And our first product that we focused on was final expense, like life insurance, final expense. And my sales pitch was at the end of my Medicare Advantage enrollment or sale was like, you don't need life insurance, do you? That was my sale. That was my pitch. That was my transition. And how many people said, yes, as a matter of fact, I do. I was just thinking about that the other day. It's like simple that like you said, 2 year old. You don't
Yeah.
need life insurance. Like it's just so simple. That it's that simple. We both had mentioned this. It's like when you first start, you're not going to be good at it. Just do it. It can be that simple. You don't need this, do you? Or if you're reaching out to your existing clients and doing a quick 3 question survey, what what value did you get most out of the product that we sold you? What's the greatest value that you get out of it? Oh, boom. Don't you know someone else that could get that same value of that product as well? I mean, you're leading them where you want them to go, right? Hey, tell me what's valuable to you about the service we provide or the product you bought from us, and you've got to know someone else that could benefit from that same value. It's like that's you could just ask that one question, but you can build a 3 question survey. Hey, do you mind if I ask you 3 questions real quick? Boom, 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 and then you're just again leading them where you want to go. And you said it again, Doug, and I mentioned it earlier. Like the statistics, 90% of satisfied customers said, "Yeah, I'll refer someone." 15% or less than 15. I think it was like 11%. I don't want to say it was that, but it was around 11, but it's definitely less than 15% are even asking. And it's right there. It's zero acquisition cost, growing your EBITDA, goes to the bottom line. And it's just you're checking so many boxes and taking that step.
I had nothing more to add to that, but then you just
Yeah.
said something, and I'm gonna add one piece to that. And I think equally as important, and I'd love to have your feedback on this, Neil. You're preventing a competitor from coming into getting the sale that you should have had.
Yes. 100%. So a couple things there. Number one, what in implementing referrals as a non-negotiable for your sales team and all of your employees. it'll turn into the largest growth engine of your company. It absolutely will. That's number one. Number two is what you just said. Through our retention efforts, our retention is it's over 95%. We're like 97% retention on our clients. Wow. Through those retention efforts. And that has led to the referrals. And the companies that grow the fastest and increase their EBITDA or produce the strongest EBITDA, they're not the ones that are spending more on marketing. They're the ones that are expanding their revenue through the existing relationships they have. That's a fact.
I think we're going to end there, Neil.
Fantastic.
So, folks, if this hasn't got you moving right now, please put a time in your calendar to schedule to get this moving along. Pull your team together. Start the referral process today. It is the served thing in most businesses. As you just said, Neil, it's under 15% of people are actually doing it. So, if the statistics alone and this conversation alone don't get you moving there, I promise if your competitor listens to this and they do this, you're going to wonder why they're pulling ahead of you. So, Neil, thanks so much for being here. How do people get to know more about Neil Reich? Contact your customer. Those of you who are in the entering that space on Medicare or that area of life of insurance. How do they reach out to you, Neil?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for that, Doug. The company website is careconnectagency.com, careconnectagency.com. And then I'm on LinkedIn. So just Neil Reich, R-E-I-C-H is the last name. I'm on LinkedIn, so you can find me there, and also on Facebook with Care Connect Agency.
Awesome. Neil, thanks for being here on the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. Thanks for bringing the AAA game. And I don't mean the lower minor leagues. I mean the AAA plus awesome. Game here. So thanks again for being here.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity and honored to be on here. Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome. All right, everyone. So have we convinced you, persuaded you to do referrals in your business? It is one of the highest EBITDA lifts you can get quickly in your business. And I mean quickly, like now, today. You can start this process, have your whole team start this process. And what does it cost you to do that? Nothing. What is the gain in return? Everything. It's full upside, no downside in the process. And as I said, it's one of the highest leveraged EBITDA drivers that you can deploy right away. Now, speaking of EBITDA drivers, those of you who are looking to increase your revenues, your margins, you're looking to increase your valuation, your operating cash flow, your after-tax cash flow, the valuation on your company and that exit value, we offer a diagnostic to do just that. We run through the 21 levers of EBITDA, those that drive your EBITDA, and we look at all kinds of things in your company to give you a growth map. That growth map can be turned into a growth plan. If you have interest in doing that, reach out to me directly at doug@ceosalesstrategies.com and let me know. Just put in the title, if you will, diagnostic EBITDA driver, something like that. And I'll know it's you, and I'll reconnect with you. We'll set a time. I can tell you in the first 15 to 20 minutes, if you have hidden money sitting there that you've already paid for, that's not in your bank account. No obligation from that point forward unless you want it. All right. Until next time, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies podcast saying, go out and get referrals into your success.